Yeah, in this section, we'll be looking at Python strings. And just as we've seen in our previous two sections, we'll be talking about different data types. And right here in this section, we'll be delving a little bit deeper into what Python strings are all about. So let's get started. Okay, just like I mentioned in our previous section, I said Python strings are anything that is embedded either in a single quote, double quote, or triple quote. So let's just get right into it and create a variable. And here I'll give it a single quotation and I'll say Lucas. And right here, this is a string. And let's look at another example using double quotation. And I'll say country, double quotation now. I'll say France. And let's look at one more. And let's say, what else can we use? Probably likes. And we'll use triple sets of quotation right here. And I'm just going to say um, plantain. So right here we have three examples of strings, one with a single quote, another with a double quote, and the last one with triple sets of quotations. So let's just print all of this out, and I'll just print all of them in a single line: name, country, and likes. And I'll just run that, and right here we can see it. We have them printed out, and let's check their types. So I'll say type new, type country, and let's check the type of the like as well. So type likes, likes. So if we run that, we can see they are all of the class string. So this is just the simple definition for what a string is. A string is anything, character, words, letters, anything that is inside of a quotation, either single, double, or triple sets of quotation. Okay, so now let's move on and let's just look at the concept of how we can access each characters um, in our string. And this concept is very very essential. So we need to know how to access the characters in our strings. So accessing characters in a string. So let's make use of this right here. Now, in Python, Python starts its indexing from 0. So for us to access the first character here, it means L here from Lucas is at the 0th index, which means the index of this L is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 5 characters here, but the indexing starts from 0. So our the last index of our character, the last index in our variable is actually 4. So if I'm to print that out, yeah. So let's say I want to print L, I'll say name, and I use square brackets to access each index in my string. So I'll say name and I'll give it the index of 0. If I run this, let me just comment this out. And right here we are saying L. So this is the value at the 0th index in our string. So that is why we are getting that. And like I said Python starts its indexing from 0, which means its counting starts from 0, not 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we have 5 characters: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how Python starts its counting. Now, when we are trying to access the last character in our string and we don't know the specific length of that particular character, we use a negative value. For instance, if we want to access S in our name right here, because we know the length of that particular um, variable, the length is 5. Lucas is has 5 characters, but the last index is going to be 4 since it starts its counting from 0. So if I use 4 here and I run this, I'll see the last value S. But in a program where we don't specifically know the length of that particular variable and we want to get the last character in that variable, we use -1. And this will get us the last character in that variable, just like that. So for us to access the last character in our variable, we use -1. And for us to access the first character in our variable, we use 0. Now, if we are counting from our left to right, our indexing is going to start from 0, just like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas if we're starting our counting from the back, from right to left, we start with -1. So we would have something like, let me see if I can make that work. -1, -2, -3, -4, -4, then -5. Okay, so right here, if you are starting our counting from the back, S is going to be -1, A is going to be -2, C is going to be -3, U is going to be -4, and L is going to be -5. Whereas if you're starting from the front, which is from the left to the right, we would have uh, LB 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is how the indexing works in Python. Now let's move on to string slicing. So what if we want to get a substring, a set of characters from our main character? For instance, I want to access Luke here, Luc. How do I do that? I know that this is from index 0 and I know this is from index 2. Now, if I want to access that using string slicing, I would say 0 colon 3. Now, why am I making use of 3 here? Since we are stopping at the second index. This is because Python does not consider the last index. The last index here is 3. So Python would not include it. So 0 to 3 excluding 3. We are excluding the index 3. So it's going to give us 0, 1, 2, index 0, 1, 2, and not 3 inclusive. So if we are to run this now, we would have LUC given right back to us. So this is just the concept that works with string slicing. If we are trying to get a certain um, set of strings and we have the length that we want. Here we are saying we want from 0 to 3, excluding 3, excluding index 3. Let's not forget the value that we are putting right here is going to be excluded. Okay, so let's move on. Let's say we want to have a step. Probably I want you to print this, then skip this, print this, skip A, and print S. So I can add a skip value right here. Let's say 1 or let's say 2. So, and I'm going to add here. Okay, before we move to skip, let me quickly show us something. We can also have it in the reverse order. Let's say we want to print C A S. Let's know that we said if we're starting from the back, is going to be what? -1. This is -2. A is -2. C is -3. So here we can say I want to start from -2 to the last value. Now removing, not adding any value here shows that I want it to get to the last value. Means that I want it to move from here down to the end, not excluding anything. Because I want it to print the last value here. And this is minus, okay, that should be minus 3. And this is minus 2, this is minus 1. Now, if I had minus 1 here, it's going to give me CA instead, just like this. But because minus 1 is the last value and I want it to be included, I can remove this, and this means print till the end. So if I do this, all I'm saying is I want it to print to the end. The same thing if I start from the front. Let's say I want it to print from 0 to, or let's say from the beginning to index 3. So this will print what we printed the other time, LUC. So it's the same thing. It's going to start from the beginning. And if we want to print the whole string, we can just do this. Just add a colon in between without any values on the left or on the right, and it's going to print the whole string for us. So it's the same thing as printing the whole string. So like I said, now we want to print the whole string, then we want to add a step. So let's just do it, let's say from 0 to 5. Now we are adding 5 because we know our string has 5 characters. So 5 is not going to be included. So we are going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the last index of our string. Now we want it to take 2 steps. Each time it tries to grab a substring, we want it to take 2 steps, which means print this, take 2 steps, print this. So after printing this, it takes a step to this, takes another step to C, then print C. So let's run this, and here we see LCS. So that is exactly what we are doing. We are putting the starting index, the stopping index, and then we're adding a step to it. It's the same thing if I remove this, since we are printing the whole index, so and the whole variable. I'm working with the whole variable, so I don't need to add any values. I just need to add a step, and that will give me the same exact value. So basically, this is just an example of how we can use string slicing in Python. Okay, so now the next thing I want to show us is how we can format our strings. So string formatting. And there are one major thing before we go into string formatting is, let's look at string concatenation. Concatenation. Now, string concatenation is addition of strings together. Let's say we have sentence one equals to my name is, and right here, I'll not adding any space. And I want to add this sentence to my name. So I want it to print my name is Lucas. So I will now say print sentence one plus name. So using the plus here acts as a concatenator and adds the two strings together, which is my name is and the name Lucas. So if we are to print this here, this is going to print my name is Lucas. And right here, if you see between this S and L here, there's no space. And that's because I didn't have a space right here. And this is one of the issues that concatenation brings. So I have to format this appropriately and add a space. And once I do that, I can have this written out beautifully. My name is Lucas. But I'm not a fan of using plus for concatenation. I prefer string formatting. And this has a whole lot of benefit. For instance, let's add another sentence. So I'm going to say sentence two equals my age. My age is. Now, do I have any value for age? So let me add age right here, right below. I'll say age is 34. Okay, so here I want to concatenate these two variables here to print my age is 34. So if I'm to use concatenation, here I'll say sentence 2 plus age. And right here, if I'm to print this out, I'll get an error. Now, this error is telling me can only concatenate string to string. I cannot concatenate an integer to string. So for me to work with this concatenation here, I have to convert or cast this particular integer into a string. So I have to do something like this, age, and then I'll get my result. Now, let's now look at a particular situation where we have loads of concatenation to do. We have loads of things that we want to bring in into one another. How are we going to get this done? So, where this is where string formatting comes in, and this is the method I really prefer so much, and I would just love to show it to you guys. And to do this, I want to, let's say I want to print, let me store that in Word, let's say sentence 3. Now my sentence 3 is now going to be, it's not going to be a formatted string. And for me to do that, I'm going to start with an F, and then I had my quotation. Now this F right here is what is formatting, is the syntax that is used to format this particular string. So here I can easily say my age is, and whatever I want to insert into that string, like this particular integer right here, I put it inside of a curly brace, just like this, age. And I don't need to convert the age to a string. It takes care of the conversion for me. And this looks already readable because we can easily say my age is, we already know where that particular variable is going to be coming in and how the sentence is going to look, unlike this. So here I can easily say print sentence 3, and I would not have any error, just like this, without um, without converting it. So let me remove this so we can see it. I already commented that out, and we can see we are still getting the same value without having to cast it or convert it from the integer to a string. So this is what formatting offers to you when you make use of it in the place of concatenation. So the last thing I want to show us is how we can use escape values, how we can use escape sequences in Python with our strings. So the concept of using escape sequence is using the backslash. For instance, I have a particular word and I want to make use of am. Let's say, let me say word, let me say sentence 4. Okay, so I want to write a sentence that is like this. Let me just write that in a comment. So I'm happy, just like this. And for us to do this, if we are using double quotation, this would not be an issue. So I'll say I'm happy. And this will print out without giving us any error. So as we can see, we don't have any error, no errors are pointing out, and it looks all good. But if we are using single quotation, just like this, now we see that we are having loads of errors because he's trying to figure it out. This single quote is stopping here. This single quote here that we ought to, we believe, we want to use it to close this particular sentence, is now opening a new string and closing here. So our code is already modeled up. Now for us to cancel this out, we can use an escape sequence backslash. And with this, we see that the error is gone. And here we are just telling it that it should escape this particular um, quotation. Yeah, this particular quotation right here. So if I should print this, okay, I didn't print sentence 4, print sentence 4. Okay. So once I print this, I can see this right here. So that is how we make use of the escape sequence. For instance, I want to write a quotation in my code. So right here, I want to have something like, how would I put it? Let's see, race saves, just like this. I want it to be printed out like this exact way. This is what I want it to print out. One way to do it is I can have a double quote and have a single quote and have double quotations inside. And I should say Grace saves. And just like this will give me that exact value, how we wanted it printed out. But what if we have a double quotation already? And then I want to use another double quotation to print Grace saves. I want it to print out like that. So I'm now adding double quotations. Now we see that it's even giving us triple. So let's do it this way. I'm saying Grace saves. And here we are seeing a whole lot of error. And here we can see this right here is opening. The quotation is closing here. We don't know what this is doing right here. This is opening here and this is closing right here. Okay, so this is another error that we are faced with. And for us to do that, we can also make use of the escape sequence to escape this right here and also escape this other one right here. And if we run that, we'll get this output the exact way that we want. So this is just an example of an escape sequence. We also have two other ones that I'll be showing us. We can also, for instance, okay, before I go to the two other ones I want to show us, we also have a URL. Let's say um, we have www dot okay, URL use forward slash. Let's say we have a path. We have a path like we have a path we want to add into our string. We want it to print out like this: document slash video. This is how we want it to be printed out. Now, if we do this, document slash videos. Now we can see that this V here has already been escaped. So if we print this out, we will not be getting the right thing that we want to get. So for us to make it function very well, we have to add two escape sequence. So instead of this just escaping the letter here, it would add a certain backslash. It adds a backslash if we had two escape sequences. So right here we can see the backslash right there. So that's how we do it. Now, the other ones I want to show us is how we can use a tab and a new line. So let's do that. Let's say sentence 5, sentence 5 equals, let's just say I love pizza. So here I can add a tab in between this pizza and love. Okay, so let me print sentence 5. Okay, so here now we have this, and I can now print a tab, add a tab right here. I'll just say escape sequence T, just like that. And just like that, if I print this, we see this here, a tab right here. And I can also add a new line using backslash n. And this takes this pizza to a certain new line. So let me remove this backspace here and do that. and we can see we have I love and we have pizza right down here. So it moves pizza, it creates a new line, breaks this code here, then moves the remaining of the code down to a new line.